Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to MIT's Integrated Design and Management Program Info Session. My name is Matt Cressy. I am the founding director of IDM. Started the program around 5.5 years ago, and it's been a really amazing adventure, and excited to tell you about it over the next hour or so. I'm going to start with a sort of a presentation. You've probably seen it before in many other info sessions that have been recorded like this that I've done, but I do it a little different every time. So today will be a little bit different, and then hopefully that won't take too long, and then we're going to have a couple of students come in and join me on the couch here, and you can ask them questions and get their perspectives and feelings and ideas about how IDM has been working for them. All right, so without further ado, we'll go to the first slide here. Now I start with this slide because it shows what I consider some really beautiful product. You know, you got your Herman Miller Eames chair in the upper left-hand corner, you got your Bang & Olufsen speaker on the upper right, you have an Apple laptop computer, which is really representative of almost all Apple products as just being beautiful and really wonderful experiences. At the bottom, we have a Tesla Model S. I think it's been lowered, but in any case, it's a pretty sweet looking ride. And then we have Pixar and Starbucks coffee, and those are kind of unique because unlike the others, they're not three-dimensional, tangible products. They're more about experiences that have been very carefully thought out and designed, and that we get to experience and enjoy, and they make our lives richer. Just like those products make our lives richer. We're excited to use those products. Some of us love those products, you know. And then when you think about all the other products in the world, you can't really say that about most products. Most products, you're like, yeah, it gets the job done, it works, right? Well, here at IDM, we really believe that if we're going to make product and we're going to use the Earth's resources, and we're going to throw them away and then create, you know, dumps and other terrible things, we should make products that are less likely to be thrown away because they are absolutely loved. So that's what we're all about. We're about using that kind of philosophy to create a new way of leading companies, a new way of leading product design and development, a new way of inventing and innovating, where creating beauty and incredible value in user experience is a priority for the people that are in this program. So that's a great slide right there. But all those little products have something in common, right? And it's that design, right? But they also have a couple other things in common. So they have that wonderful user experience, but they also have a profitable business model. That's very important because if you're making a beautiful product, but you can't pay your salary to do it, that's not very sustainable. And so we want to make sure that our students understand how to create profitable companies as well as beautiful products. And the other thing is that we want our students to understand technology and engineering. And so those products exemplify those things. They have a wonderful user experience, they have profitable business models, and they have exciting technologies, really great things, right? And how is that done? Well, by combining design and business and engineering. And so we work really hard to teach those three elements in an integrated way and to do it with a very high level of sensitivity to balancing those three activities. And so many of you have probably seen our Venn diagram. And so this Venn diagram, you know, has the disciplines of design, business, and engineering. And then it also shows why. Why design? Well, design makes products desirable. If products are desirable, you can sell them. Great. Well, engineering. Why engineering? Well, if you've got a desirable product, You also want to make sure that it's manufacturable and that it doesn't break and that it's safe, right? So you need engineering to take care of the feasibility of that product. And then you need people who can handle all the other aspects of running a business, working all the financial issues out, doing the accounting, the bookkeeping, managing supply chains and inventories and running logistics. And so you need that business component as well. And we call that viability. So if you have a product that's desirable, it's feasible, you generally have a product that's viable, and you generally have a great business. And so where these three circles intersect, you'll see a little red heart, and that's where IDM kind of lives. We're really teaching how to integrate those three disciplines together. We don't teach you to become a better designer. We don't teach you to become a better business person. We don't teach you to be a better engineer. We teach you to really be someone who knows how to put those disciplines together and conduct them, kind of like a conductor for a symphony. You're not really learning your instrument in more depth, right? We're not going to have you learn piano over and over and over again. We're going to be talking about, okay, what's the composition that you're going to write? What's the melody that you play with the piano and the oboes and the woodwinds, and the strings and the timpani, So how do you put that together, and which one's louder and which one's quieter and which one's has a solo, and which one. And so we're trying to create people that kind of conduct those players. But instead of it being instruments, it's people in the world of entrepreneurship and product development and product creation. And so people who do that well are like these people right here, So some of these people you probably recognize, you have Steve Jobs and Oprah Winfrey and Elon Musk and Ratan Tata. But you also have people that are a little harder to recognize, like in the lower left-hand corner, you have Ray and Charles Eames, who created all these beautiful pieces of furniture for Herman Miller. You have Liz Claiborne, and so you have these people, they know in sort of intuitively that it takes this balanced approach. They know how to put a team together to achieve phenomenal results, to bring people in with skills and capabilities that they don't have, so that they do have that beautiful kind of violinist who can create that beautiful Tesla design. So that's what we want to do. We want to create people like that, people with vision, people with passion, people with love. And then we try to give some skills to those people that they can go out and hopefully really up the game, up the ante on the game. I just also want to be very clear. IDM, we see IDM as a leadership program, okay? And it's a unique leadership program because what we do is we use human-centered design as a foundation for thoughtful, inspired leadership. And that process of human-centered design is just so lovely. It's so inclusive, right? The idea that you proactively go out and find your stakeholders, reach out to them, connect with them, and listen to them, right? That's a beautiful kind of activity or gesture. If you're going to represent those people in your product development activities or your business activities, that's a really important thing to do, and that makes you a phenomenal leader, especially when not only do you practice that with your customer, but you practice that with the people in your organization, where you proactively go and listen to them, and then you formulate strategies and ideas on how to move forward. So that's what we try to teach at IDM is that, that process is really a beautiful process. It's very similar to democracy, when democracy isn't broken. And it really creates leaders that reflect the needs and emotions of the people that those leaders are responsible for. And this is our mission, and in the background is our current first-year cohort. So you can see all their shiny, smiley faces. But our mission is really to enable the learning and development of extraordinary, innovative leaders that will bring new levels of creativity, vision, and integrity to business and society. And again, that human-centered design process, also known as design thinking, that really empowers and enables people to deliver on that mission statement that you see there. So how do we do it? Well, the first thing is that we create a culture that we think is something that our students should replicate for the rest of their lives, and that's a design innovation culture, okay? We teach that human-centered design process, so that we have a culture and an environment, okay? Then we add a process that gives structure and provides action. Then we have an environment that's inspiring by all these amazing, extraordinary people. And we think that's a wonderful recipe to allow people to kind of flourish. And then I think I should probably add one more bullet. And then, when you're all here, we give you little stressors. That's kind of like an exercise, you know, that you do, like intervals, right? And they're specifically designed to push you, because by pushing you, you stretch and push out your limitations, and your capabilities grow, especially when you realize that those limitations that you thought you had are really much farther out than you thought. So that's what we try to do here. This is our current studio environment for the first years. And then you see Steve Eppinger, who helped co-found IDM. He's giving a lecture, and Steve is a professor at Sloan School of Management. Our students come from all over the world. We have been remarkably diverse and international from day one. So there's a little map that shows that. This is recorded, and you'll be able to come and revisit this later, so you can study the map if you want. But and then a little bit about our demographics. So we have 2 cohorts at any given time because it's a 2-year program. Right now, our second-year cohort has 26 students in it. Our first years have 27 students, so we have a total of 53 students in the program. 33% of those students are engineers. 33% have business backgrounds or entrepreneurial backgrounds, and the last third are designers or have design backgrounds. The average years of work experience before entering this program is 6.3. And we'll talk, that's one of our admissions requirements, is that you have some significant work experience. And by significant, that means either a decent amount of time in the real world, or it could be a shorter time, but your time in the real world was super intense. So it's sort of a factor of those 2 things, duration and intensity. So there's some subjectivity there, and if you have questions about that, we can help answer that. Or you can apply, and we can see that in your application, and we can advise you based on that. The average age is about 30 years old, 29 and a half. We have, at the moment, 52% women, 48% men. We have always been at least 50% women. We've made a commitment to being 50% women from day one. The interesting thing about that is that we've never, ever had to go back and say, oh, we're short on women. We've always, after we've finished our admissions process, without even looking at gender, it was always more than 50% women. So that's been great. We're 56% international, and 44% of our students are domestic. We give a Master's of Science in Engineering and Management, but some of our students decide that they would like to do a dual degree with Sloan School. So they'll get their MS from us, and they might get an MBA from Sloan. That turns into a 3-year kind of experience with us. Many other programs here at MIT do dual degrees with us. And in the engineering school with computer science or mechanical engineering or wherever. Okay. Our 2-year experience, this is a little chart that shows that. The first year, what we do is we have every student take what we call the core curriculum. And so that happens in the fall and spring semester. But let's just go through this chronologically. Starting in late August, everyone shows up on campus, and they all meet each other for the first time. And then we do what we call orientation, and that's about an 8-day kind of experience that we are all together and we do fun things together, and some of those things are kind of challenging, but they're fun, and so everyone really gets to know each other very well. Then the semester starts in September, and we begin the core curriculum, and you guys, those in the program will also be taking some required electives. You then move into January, where we have what's called IAP, the individual activities period. It's a time that MIT has set aside for students to explore things outside of their major. So, if you wanted to study glass blowing, or you wanted to study dance, or something that you've always wanted to do but wasn't quite related to IDM. Although those two things we would accept as acceptable activities for IDM. But if it was something else, you could do that and learn about it. In the spring, again, it's kind of a repeat of the fall, where you're going to do your core curriculum, which is very intense, and then you're going to also be working on your required electives. During the summer, most of our students do internships. Some just take it off. Some might just go back to work where they were before, but that's really up to you. Then you come back that fall for your second year, where you're really going to be focusing on finishing up your required electives and preparing to write your thesis. Our thesis for the program, it's not like a PhD thesis. It's pretty lightweight compared to most theses, but it's something that most of our students take very seriously, and they actually really enjoy doing it. We're also adding this new, just a little 3-unit course we call IDM Seminar, and that's where we're going to have, entrepreneurs from, our network come in and just talk about what it is to be about their life, right? Or we'll have CEOs come in and talk about their life and running their company. Or I might give a talk on, on just sort of being creative or doing the right thing, or, love or whatever, So it'll be very creative, and places, these seminars are where we can really explore a lot of ideas that are a little bit more out there. And then at the end of that second year, you will, as a student, hopefully graduate. And yeah. So our curriculum, as I just mentioned, we have the IDM core, we call it ID Lab, and that's 30 units. And that's really where you kind of combine design school, integration and leadership, integration of engineering and business, and we talk about leadership. I explained the ID seminar, but if you read that paragraph, designers, engineers, practitioners, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders serve as guest speakers for topics including leadership, thesis writing, professional communications, and entrepreneurship. The electives, so the electives, the required electives, you have to do 27 units in management, and you have to do 27 units in engineering. And so this is a wonderful opportunity to kind of get outside of IDM and go into Sloan School and be immersed in that culture and in the teaching of those amazing faculty. And it's also an opportunity to go into the engineering school, which has yet another remarkable culture and group of faculty. And so you really get immersed in all these different pools of water at different temperatures and currents, and it's just a really, I think, a really rich experience. And then there's the thesis, and they can be project-based or not. but we encourage project-based just because most of our students like to do projects, and that's 24 units. So it's significant, but like I said, it's not like a PhD. In ID Lab, we do all kinds of activities. ID Lab is where the faculty give lectures. It's where our student teams work. It's like their little headquarters. It's where a lot of making takes place. It's a making space. It's where we conduct design workshops, how to use various tools or software or whatever. So hands-on stuff. It's a place where we bring in guest speakers, and it's also a place really where all of that revolves around this human-centered design process. So ID Lab, it's sort of the heart of IDM, and I think it's a really special experience. The schedule for ID Lab, it's pretty, this is a slide that shows that. It meets on Mondays and Wednesdays. It starts at 1 o'clock and it ends at 6 o'clock. And in that time frame, you see in the orange, you have a 90-minute lecture from 1 o'clock to 2:30. And those topics are really kind of your topics all about basically product development and entrepreneurship and leadership and things like that. And there's a list of things there, user experience, user needs, economics, prototyping, concept selection, industrial design, engineering, manufacturing, leadership, risk management. So you'll get a lecture for the first 90 minutes. The next 2 hours from 2:30 to 4:30 is what we call your team time or project time, project work time. And that's where you're going to get together with your team. This is an experiential learning program. So everything we teach, we expect you to practice on a project of your own. And so we always have you working on a project, and most of the time you're on a team. So this is where you can work with your team on your project. The faculty roam around, and we can be there to answer questions and mentor you and answer questions or resolve conflict or whatever it is. And that's really like the design school right there. It's like you went to art school. And then that ends at 4:30, and from 4:30 to 6 o'clock we have workshop. It's 90 minutes where you learn things. And by the way, workshop is taught by Andy McGinnis, who's just a phenomenal prototyping guy, and we've known each other for 30 years. Lecture and studio are taught by Tony Hu and myself. And Tony is just an amazing engineer that really has done some amazing entrepreneurial stuff, and just brings all of that to the studio experience. Back to workshop, you'll learn things like how to use a CNC, how to vacuum form or thermoform. You'll learn how to make molds. You'll learn how to 3D print. You'll learn how to use a laser cutter. You'll learn how to use Adobe Illustrator. You'll learn how to use SolidWorks or Onshape or whatever CAD software we're teaching. Usually it's Onshape. So that's our ID Lab core curriculum. All right, projects. So there's 3 projects in that core experience. We call them P1, P2, and P3. P1, the focus is on really understanding user needs deeply and emotionally. So, to really develop empathy for your users, for your stakeholders, and then to convey or transfer that empathy to an audience. We teach you to present. You're always presenting in IDM. We think that's an integral part of being a good communicator, which is an integral element of being a good leader. So we're always practicing presenting. P2, its focus is on manufacturing and sales. Well, if you're going to manufacture, your product has to be designed or engineered in a way that it's easy to make, right? And if you're going to sell it, it has to be designed in a way that people really love it, that it's beautiful. So most companies fail on those 2 things. Their products either are not desirable enough or they're impossible to manufacture repeatably. So we make everyone manufacture 50 units and sell them all. We just finished that last week, so a very exciting time with our sales gala. And P3 is where we actually kind of put everything together except for manufacturing and sales, where you develop a product from identifying an opportunity in the market and bring it all the way to an alpha prototype and a documentation package that you would hand off to a contract manufacturer who would make 10,000 units. So it's sort of a different manufacturing scale. So if P2 was sort of a low to mid volume or mid quantity kind of project, P3 is high volume. Okay, the projects are student generated and industry sponsored, both. They can be tangible three-dimensional products. They can be experiences, services. They could be a digital product. It could be an app. It could be a web experience. And then lastly, and most importantly, it could be a social. It could be a social problem that you've solved, or some sort of economic or societal problem that you've addressed and used the process of human-centered design to create a really great experience or solution. When we do have sponsors, they tend to be intimate and have ongoing involvement with the program and with the projects. And those program sponsors get right of first offer. So the IP belongs to the students working on the project, but at the end of it, the students, if they're going to license it, they have to offer it first to the sponsor. So I thought I'd show you some slides now of this project so you get a better idea of what they're all about. So this was a project by Susie Tort, who's right there, third to the right in a green sweater. And she looked at homelessness. And to her credit, one of the reasons I love her work is that she had the courage to go out onto the streets of Boston and get to know strangers. And not only that, strangers that most of us are a little bit scared of. And Susie is fearless and courageous, and she went out there and connected with these people and just gave the most compelling presentation and project. So we were all very proud of her for that, and we use this as an example that we hope everyone can kind of get to this level of empathy and depth. Project 2, which is about manufacturing and sales. This is what it looks like. You're spending a decent amount of time making 50 units. So this is Chin, and Chin is doing some finishing work on these beautiful little storage boxes. And then at the end, and this is another team. They're working on this cast bronze bowl with a beautiful wood rim around it. They called it the Saturn Bowl. And at the end of the semester, we have this big event called the Sales Gala, the IDM Sales Gala. And, a few hundred people show up and buy product from our students now that everybody has a better understanding of what it's all about. So this was a team that they made a little planter out of layered wood. And let's see. Yeah, so it's a great time, and this is a picture of that cohort at the end of it. Project 3 is really about looking more in depth. This was a sponsored project with Oath Pizza. And this team really looked at how to keep a pizza hot and crispy. And so they experimented with all kinds of geometries to make sure that the pizza was kept hot and crispy, and they came up with this design. And here's another team that created a device that really helps you dial in the perfect cup of coffee. So it's that's that cylindrical thing with the metal outside. That was completely made from scratch, and it had this really cool LED display that would actually instruct you how much water to add, how long to let it seep, then when to add more water. And it was just really a brilliant little device. And all of these projects are presented to the students and guests. So again, presenting your case, presenting your business model, presenting your prototype, and telling everyone how it's desirable, feasible, and viable. And we have crazy people like this guy. This is Brian Matt, who created the company Altitude, one of the world's best product development firms, just recently sold it to Accenture. But Brian has been, he roams the halls of IDM frequently, and he's always here to kind of inspire and torture our students. Yeah. We have, over the years, sort of caught the attention of many, many companies, and these are companies that all our students have gone on to either have internships or get jobs with. So we're very, very pleased with that. And we have lots of, 40% of our alumni start companies. And so these are some of the companies that have been started. Some of them, they're all at various stages. Some of them are still starting up. Others have started and been acquired. Others are consultancies that are generating millions of dollars a year in revenue. And so we're very proud of our entrepreneurial students. And we are a very entrepreneurial program. Everything we do is very kind of different. It's a little irreverent. It's very independent. We have a lot of kind of pride in what we stand for. And then when you graduate, we have this, what I think is a very beautiful IDM graduation ceremony. We do it on a boat, and we have some heartfelt kind of toasts and speeches, and connect with each other and just love each other and reminisce about what we've been through together and talk about the amazing futures that are ahead of all these folks. So yeah, this is a graduating cohort. All right, so that's the presentation. Here are some details about applications. So just a little less than a month now till the deadline for this year. And so what we're looking for is minimum of 3 years experience. We're going to need 3 letters of recommendation. We need some GRE or GMAT scores. If you are a international student, we're going to need some TOEFL or ELT scores. We need to see a resume. And now the last 2, vision statement. We're going to ask for a vision statement where you're going to talk about your vision for yourself and why IDM matters to that vision. And then we ask for a portfolio from every applicant. I think all the designers listening right now are thinking, no problem, I got a portfolio, ready to go. But everybody else is like, what the heck's a portfolio? Well, there's instructions on our website in the application process. There's plenty of instructions, but we're really looking for 6 to 8 slides that tell the story of a project you worked on that you're proud of. We want to know what the problem was, how you approached that problem, and what your solution was, and why that solution was a good fit for that problem. And then, so that's 6 or 8 slides. Then we'd like to see, a bunch of slides, another 4 to 6 or 7 slides that are 1 page each on other projects. It could be 3 slides, it could be 4, whatever, it doesn't matter, but just other projects you've worked on, but just 1 page for each. It doesn't have to show your whole process, really more about the problem and the result. Okay, and then we're going to look at all that, and we're going to basically down select to what we call finalists, and the finalists will be invited to come in for an interview in person. We can do that by Skype or Zoom or phone, but we really prefer to do it in person. But that's the final step in the process, and then we need a few weeks to kind of make a final decision, and then we send out our letters. Okay, so that's it. Here's some contact information if you need to get in touch with me, my email address. You can also email IDM admissions at idm@mit.edu. And with that, let's bring in some fabulous IDM students. Great. Welcome, Ethan and Kritisha.
Hello.
Awesome. Hey, Kritisha.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you. Good to see you, Ethan.
Thank you.
All right. So they've been hearing me talk. They're tired of it, just like you guys are. So so folks, just let the questions fly. And actually, why don't you guys just give a little introduction of yourselves and your backgrounds while these guys compose some questions.
All right. Hi guys, I'm Kritisha, and I come from India, and I am a designer who's worked with advertising, worked with graphics for a long period of time, and has also worked with trying to confront street sexual harassment in India for the last 4 years now. And I wanted to see how I could combine all of these different skills and sort of use my capacity to do something more impactful in the space of empowering women in India.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ethan. I'm originally from rural southeastern Minnesota and am an engineer by training, kind of mechanical turned electrical. My recent history, I was building escape room games, but I'm here at MIT thinking a lot about how people relate to each other and specifically how we can try to build empathy in our different communities and how human-centered design can impact that process.
Awesome. Wow, you're both pretty good people. Yeah. All right. Here's our first question. Could you please share what are the key characteristics you're looking for in candidates? You guys want to answer that, or you want me to?
I think you best take that one.
All right. So this is not the first time we've had that question. And I'll be honest, I try to be careful about how I answer it because I could simply give you all a rubric for success in the application process that may not actually reflect who you actually are. So I think that the best way to answer that is really for you to identify characteristics in yourselves that you feel are special and unique and valuable to the world, and to present those to us. And I'll also remind you of this. I think we're all conditioned to think that getting into school is somehow a validation of ourself and what we stand for. It's not that, trust me. And especially with IDM, we're not accepting you. We're not you don't have to prove yourselves to us. I believe all of you listening to me right now are going to be incredibly successful people. Really the question is IDM acceptable for you? And I see our application process, this whole admissions process, as really us trying to find people where we feel we can make a contribution to them. And so if you were to present yourselves in a way that's not true to who you are, then we may feel we're aligned with you, and you'll come here and you'll be disappointed. And then we'll be disappointed. We'll all be crushed. It's really just about, this is just a very unique program. And there's plenty of programs in the world. Plus, you don't even need a program. You don't even need to go to school. But we feel that, we can contribute to some. So just present who you are, honestly. And we'll let you know if we think we're a good fit for you. All right, student panelists, yay. How did you approach your application portfolio?
I can start. Because I'm an engineer, my academic background is in engineering and some of my professional experience as well. But most recently, my title was CEO of my own company. I was in an interesting position of trying to build a kind of engineering business hybrid portfolio. And so I think, first of all, the instructions that Matt has already given you and the instructions that are on the website are good, and I refer to them frequently. But also, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong here, but just kind of gut check yourself and make sure that you're portraying your story as it actually appears, and maybe that doesn't fit into a neat box, but just do whatever you have to do to tell your story.
In addition to what Ethan said, I feel like the prompts that were given to us inspired me so much that I actually stayed up like 3 nights just trying to finish the portfolio. But through all of that, I was literally trying to tell them who I am. I picked a project that I had done back in 2014. That is 5 years ago, and and that was like the biggest project that I put together. I was struggling to find images because it was so far back, but I felt like this is what is going to show my maker skills, and hence I didn't know if it would work, but I was trying to be very authentic with what I was trying to put in front of the panel, and that worked. So it will for you guys as well.
Great advice. Thanks, guys. Okay, Matt, do 3 years of experience also include internships and undergrad research projects? No, they don't. Yeah. So what I said earlier, it's really a function of intensity and duration. So if you're out of school for 10 years and you had a desk job and you just kind of like plugged away 9 to 5 and didn't have a lot of responsibility, whatever, yeah, 10 years is probably okay. We'd consider that. If you're out for 3 years and, you were working in some remote location and you're starving to death, living with people you're trying to help, and dealing with corruption and all kinds of craziness, 3 years is just fine there because the intensity is so high. So it's really a function of those two things. That's what we're going to kind of look at. Internships, tend to not give you a ton of responsibility. And you're probably, if you're disappointed with that answer, let me tell you why we do it. The reason we do this, or the reason we have this requirement, is because what you'll find when you get out in the real world is that the best ideas that are so obviously great ideas are just not acted on. And it's not the idea that's the problem. It's the ability to communicate and persuade and inspire other people to take action on that idea. And to do that, you need to speak several different languages. The languages of design and engineering and business, right? Or finance or whatever. And you're going to need to make sense to all of these people. You're going to need to inspire them, and they're going to need to feel that you're confident. And all of those are kind of soft skills. They're subjective and complicated and murky, and it's all interpersonal, and it's very, very challenging. And we need you to really be thirsty for the answers to those questions. As much as we talk about making stuff, right? That's pretty easy. The reason we make stuff here is to give sensitivity to what it is to make stuff, so that when you ask people to make things for you, you're not a belligerent imposter, asking them to do things that are impossible. That's really why we do it. So, we don't expect you guys to go out and make stuff, right? And they've heard this many times. We expect you to go out and have sensitivity and empathy for people who are making things for you. Okay, that was a long answer to that relatively simple question. Students, what were you hoping to pursue when you entered, and how has that changed since you started the program?
I think that's a very smart question. When my entire focus was like how I could design and develop products and services that I could take back to India, deploy them in communities of women that are economically not very well to do, such that it would uplift, their standard of living. I was very acutely aware of how overworked an Indian woman is because of all the field work that I'd done in India. And since I've come here, I feel like IDM and MIT in general has exposed me to such ambitious ways of thinking. A lot of them are way ahead of what my own limited brain would allow me to. That it is having me question my own vision in the sense that, is it too limited? Could I think bigger? And I think while that is very painful at times because you have to shift who you are as a person, it is also, to me, long term, I feel could be very rewarding because, well, if I've come to university to expand who I am as a person, this experience is making me do exactly that. So that's how I think I have changed, yeah.
Great.
I feel like this is an interesting time for us to be answering this question because we're now one semester in, and I think all of us have thought a lot about what we have been influenced by here at MIT. So some examples of that, which may or may not be intuitive. One is like, do you care about grades? All of us are coming from a professional environment where there's like a certain quality of work product, but you're sort of inundated with so many opportunities for things to do. You could do more things if you had a lower standard for yourself on all of the things. So that's like a question that everybody has to answer for themselves. Another one is, are you here to do things that you're interested in, or are you here to do things that will be useful to you? Which is not an easy question to answer either. Is this an opportunity for self-exploration, or are you trying to fill in gaps in your skill set? The other thing is, like, are you willing to let yourself like fall down a rabbit hole, or are you here to fulfill a specific mission? So, a lot of us came in with like very specific ideas of what we might want to achieve in those 2 years, but then it's like, oh wow, like self-driving cars, like that sounds awesome, and you can easily like fall into something that turns into your whole 2-year experience here. So there's no right or wrong answer to any of those questions, I think, although maybe Matt doesn't want to hear that you don't care about grades, but
No, I don't care about grades, and I don't want you to care about grades either.
It's
It's a thing we all have to do. When I started the program, I told everyone I'm not grading anybody, and I was shut down hard. So I had to give grades. So you know what I did? I gave all A's, and just recklessly, right?
Yeah.
Then I got in trouble for that. So now we grade. So forgive me, okay? All right?
I mean,
Okay.
no, very few of us, if any, are applying to PhD programs, and
Yeah.
so nobody's going to look at your transcript.
Yeah. Now, we don't want to create future students. We want to create people to go and change the world. Yeah. We're trying to create adventurers, not, yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. Matt, is IDM focused solely on physical products or both physical and digital products? Well, more than that. Yes, on all of that. So we teach a lot with physical products as examples because physical products tend to be difficult. If you're going to make 50 of something and it's real, it's big. But if you want to distribute 50 apps, that's a lot easier, right? 100,000 apps, that's just a lot easier. You have a recall on that app. You fix some code and you issue an update. You got 50,000 units in the field that all the power supplies broke. Okay, you got yourself a major logistical and financial problem. So we tend to teach on physical, but we also teach digital tools. We teach and more about experience design and service design. As time goes on, we keep adding that to the curriculum. We encourage everyone to design services and digital experiences as part of their work here. And then I mentioned earlier that the other segment that we love to see people design are things that are like policy, right? Design policy, or design a system, or design a solution to a societal problem. Right? We encourage that, and we will back those projects if students want to do that. We're very excited about that type of work. Okay. Everyone, outside of the lectures and labs, what are the student schedules like? I think you guys should answer that.
It definitely like is what you make of it. For anybody who actually ends up here, it is very likely that you are going to end up with a full schedule by choice, right? So if you want to coast by and only put in like 50 hours, like you probably could engineer that, but what ends up happening is you're going to be doing stuff that you're interested in. You're going to be doing hackathons or putting in extra time on IDM projects or whatever it is. Everything your time fills up very quickly, and so I think like as much as you could possibly want to fill it with stuff, there is stuff to fill it with, and hopefully you also reserve some time to spend with your partner and friends and get to know the people around campus as well.
I would say that depends on, with certain classes and with certain projects, it also depends on the skill level that you have with certain things. The first semester could also have you invest a lot of time in picking up skills that you don't already have, which means that you're going to have to spend extra time doing the homework for it and sort of becoming good enough so that you are okay with what you've learned from that class. So I would definitely say that before you come here, have a very good look at the courses and the requirements of the courses, prioritize your courses in the first semester, and try to pick skills as much as you can, but also try to look around at MIT to so basically ration some time for that. Just know that it's going to be intense and it's going to be all the time, but I'm guessing that's what you're coming here for, so you should be up. It'd be nice if you're up for that challenge, and everything else you'll figure out, so it's okay.
Great. All right. For me, do the majority of students strive to start their own companies post-IDM? No, about 40%. And 60% go and get jobs with existing companies. So that's about the split. 60-40, 40% are entrepreneurial. All right. Grace is typing away over there. Okay, for you guys, why did you pick this program? What were the factors and characteristics that attracted you? Right.
First. I definitely was really attracted to the interdisciplinary nature of it. That was something that I was specifically looking for. As like coming from a generalist position myself, I think that this sort of like intersectionality of different disciplines is what the world needs. And also, human-centered design as a core philosophy and paradigm, I think, is extremely valuable and very rare. There are not that many programs that start from that place. And then what really tipped me over the edge was compassion and the culture of IDM as focused on compassion and on empathy. It's a brand, it's a philosophy, but it's also like in the water here, and that is, I think, pretty unique.
So, second everything Ethan said. In addition to that, there have been moments in my life before MIT where I had a glimpse of how I could be an effective leader for the world. And I felt like the gap between me and that dream was certain tangible, practical skills, one part of it. And IDM seemed like it got me in the sense that love and compassion and empathy is actually like the set of qualities that should define leadership. And because that resonated with me, and because it sort of offered a a toolkit to actually build yourself up to that place, such that the world outside of school will also start to see you as a leader. It appealed to me, and yeah, I was immediately like, the first time I read through the description of the IDM website, I had goosebumps, and like that is a sign. That was a sign to me that this is meant to be, and it sort of worked from there, you know.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Okay, Matt, are there organizations you partner with for the internship, or do students have to find their own? Students have to find their own, but we have a lot of companies or organizations that really love IDM and love IDM students. So I guess it's sort of somewhere in the middle. The students have to take the initiative to apply to those internships and find them. We have Amanda Peters here, who runs our career development, and so she has the repository of all those companies that love to work with our students, and then she works to make the right connections. So it's sort of a hybrid, but we're not, like Northeastern, where, it's a required experience as part of the program, and then we have internships, waiting for you at a particular point in time. It's not like that. Okay, student panelists, how is your work-life balance? Ooh, boy. Let's hear the answer. They just qualify this.
Sure. So we all are just coming off our term one final project, which took a truly immense amount of work. And yes, it's a thing. That said, and I can feel like I can brag here a little bit, I think I had exceptionally good work-life balance for most of the semester. And my secret was sleep. It was not staying up too late and getting up reasonably early in the morning. So most days of the week, I would get up early, I would go to the gym, I would start my day at 7:30 or 8. And by doing so, I had enough hours in the day, because you are just not productive late at night. I promise, like 1 hour in the morning is worth 2 at midnight. So it is possible, you just have to be disciplined about it. But Kritisha can speak to maybe the other end of the spectrum, I don't know.
It's the other end of the spectrum.
Oh.
I want to give some context. I was leaving one country and I was moving to another country. I've never been to the United States before. I had no idea how to think about it. And that at MIT, I don't even know what I was thinking. But I say, for me, it was a roller coaster ride. It started off with me being, okay, I need to go for every single event that's happening. And I think I was not sleeping much and not eating right and just trying. It was not nice in the first couple of weeks for me, till I started to wisdom reigned, and then you sort of readjust your life to what your requirements are. I was also, for the first semester, I was being overly ambitious. I was jumping into courses that I had no foundation for, thinking I will learn. Which again was a mistake that I had to make to learn from. So it's in retrospect, it's all cool. So towards the middle of the semester, my body had me choose better ways of just living, and I took a break, and I sort of what Ethan said, sleep and better food. Which towards the end of the semester again went out of the window, because we had intense amounts of just work to finish the semester as well. So it hasn't been one stagnant or one sort of journey for me through this semester. I've learned and adapted as I have gone about it, but that's also my style with things in general. So yeah.
Great. Well, thank you both very much. We're out of time. Thank you all for joining us. If you have additional questions that weren't answered today, feel free to shoot an email to idm@mit.edu, and someone will get back to you with some answers. Thank you all, and take care. Have a good day.
Good luck.
Thank you. Bye.